prospective adoptive parent has to seek consent of that child, because the law presumes that that child is mentally stable to understand to understand what is going on. However, that requirement can be also waived where the child is not in a good mental state. So if the child is mentally not okay, then that requirement can also be waived. Of course, there are other several requirements, but for starters, those are some of the prudent requirements that are required.
Mr. Mujun, let's look at a situation whereby these parents, they have adopted this child already, and yes, we know that they are not citizens of this country. They belong to another country. Are they free to relocate to another country?
Okay, thank you so much. So one of the effects of adoption is that because we are talking about intercountry adoption, of course. So, but one of the effects of adoption is once you adopt a child, you have exclusive rights for that child. You become a parent to that child. So, for example, right now, if your parents call you and they tell you to go with them to the US, will you refuse if you have everything? You cannot refuse. Yes, you cannot refuse because they have exclusive rights over you, and they would want you to relocate to USA. Maybe you go and get married from there, or continue with studies from there. So that is exactly what happens with intercountry adoption. That once you have been certified, once you have gotten an order that allows you to adopt this child, and you have been certified by court, you become a parent to that child, and the parents of that child, if they are still alive, they cease to become parents of that child immediately. So you are the one now who takes on the role of being a parent of that child. So you can do anything that you can even change the passport of this child. If, for example, the prospective adoptive parent is from the US, okay, so after all the procedures and this person has been allowed to adopt this child, they can even go ahead and change the passport. The passports, they acquire new passports for these children or this child. For example, they can get for him or her an American passport, or an English passport, or any other passport that where this prospective adoptive parent has come from, and then that person will automatically become a citizen of that country. And of course, they can go anywhere they want, as long as the court has allowed them. Has allowed this parent to adopt this child.
Does changing include even the identity of the child?
The name
of the child.
Yes, immediately after they have, for example, what is your full name? Naluwaganashiba. So, for example, if you have adopted a child called Nasimbwa Angela, okay. So you can, after adopting that child, after you have fulfilled all court requirements, court has given you, granted you permission to adopt this child with orders, that child can become Nasimbwa Angela Naluwaga. Nasimbwa Angela Naluwaga. So the child takes on your name. This child also is entitled to your inheritance. This child is entitled to your property. If, for example, God forbid, if you die, this child is entitled. This child becomes like all other children that you have biologically. Yes. Or if you don't have children, this child becomes now like your biological child. Yes.
We've seen a lot of challenges going on with people who adopt children in our country. So what are some of those challenges that this couple is expecting to face?
Yeah, one of the challenges that, of course, there are several challenges, but the most popular challenges come in with court process and procedures. Is that some people really want these adoptive parents want this procedure to be very quick, which is not actually the case. For one to be able to adopt a child, you have to endure a lot. You have to follow the procedures. The child has to go under foster care foster care. You have to you have the court process itself is not because you can start on the adoption procedure and like in 20 right now it's 2024, and then you get the orders like in 2026. You get why? Because first of all you have to take care of this child in foster care for 1 year, a period not less than 1 year, meaning you can even take 2 years or 3 years or 5 years. Okay, so in most cases some people encounter fraudsters most especially our foreign students and our foreign people who want to adopt these children. They encounter fraudsters. These fraudsters tell them that, you know what, they can work on all your paperwork and everything, and then you adopt this child in only 6 months. You get? So with less effort and all that. So they end up cheating them, taking their money for nothing, and then after a while they get to know that for sure the process is not as easy as they thought it was. Yes. Then another challenge is on what? Another challenge comes in some technicalities. Of course, someone might want to adopt a child, and then the law tells her that you have to be 21 years older, and then this person finds out that he or she doesn't even have any exceptional circumstance as to why he or she can adopt this child by waiving the requirement of being 21 years older than the child. So that one becomes, you find the prospective adoptive parent has the passion to adopt, but the technicalities and the law does not allow. Then also some other challenges come in with the child trafficking. There are of course other people who disguise as the adoptive parents, but who actually want to traffic these children for their own motives that we really cannot understand. So the law has come out with the very stringent measures to make sure that these things are curbed, and that all the procedures are being followed. Yes.
And there are some solutions that you as the legal, let's say the legal advisors put in place to protect these parents to not face fraud.
Yes, of course we have laws that can help these parents, but what I can actually tell the parents, who are the prospective adoptive parents who would actually want to adopt children here in Uganda, is that they have to carry out some due diligence to see, okay, and understand the procedure or process. How can they carry out due diligence? Is by asking people who are good at this, so that they can help them to make sure that they can be able to adopt the children. When I talk of people who are good at this, of course they can talk to lawyers who can do this for them, so that they can be able to do not face the other side of the law. Yes.
We've seen there are some challenges going on with students. Let's say these children who are being adopted, sometimes they are traumatized, or they feel like they are not good enough to be leaving their parents. They shouldn't leave their parents. Is there some counseling provided by the legal team?
First of all, for a child to be able to be adopted, this, as we talked about consent, there should be consent of either the parent, the biological parent, or the child, if the child is 14 years or above. So there is no way a child is allowed to be adopted if that child has no bond with the prospective adoptive parent. The only way for the child, the very first step for the child to be adopted by an adoptive parent is to have that bond. That is the reason for the foster care placement, that this child has to first have stayed with this prospective adoptive parent for the period that is not less than 12 months under the supervision of a social welfare and probation officer.
So within that time there is some bond created?
Of course, if there is no bond created between them, then they cannot proceed they cannot go further with other procedures. The only way is if the court sees that that there is a bond, and the several ways they can notice. They can see the way you interact with the child, the way how the child behaves around you, the photographs that you take with the child. So there are several ways, of course. Even the child can be asked questions. It's a very technical procedure. Yeah, actually, what I can tell you that it's very hard for you to adopt a Ugandan child. Yes, so you have to first fulfill all those requirements so that you can adopt a Ugandan child. The reason for adopting, as I told you earlier, that the court has to make sure that the welfare of the child is going to be respected, and the child is going to meet all his or her needs in life. So if one of the needs of a child is to have a good mental status or health, and then they see that you, the prospective adoptive parent, you do not make this child comfortable when you are around him or her, so of course they can deny you the adoption order.
Thank you. It has been Mr. Mujuni, the legal advisor here at Old Kampala Outlet School, taking us through the adoption process for foreigners or for non-Ugandans. It has been your host Nalwaga Nashiba on our show The Law with Ocas TV. Thank you. Till next time.